Yeah, guys. So the FP3 and the qualifying in Las Vegas. Rain fell earlier today and the track is being washed. I said yesterday that the track will be washed and we have a green track. Unfortunately, it's not just a green track, it was a wet track as the cars embraced the wet streets of Las Vegas. They went on intermediate about 35 minutes before Lando Norris came out to test the waters on soft tires, on slicks. Now, coming out, he had his moment, but he was able to hold on to his nerves and they got it going. Other drivers came out on slicks and we saw the times tumbling down and track evolution, but some part of the track was still wet. There were chances of rain falling, but rain never came until the end of the session. But the most interesting thing is, in this session, the FP3 session, we saw that Red Bull has made some changes on their car. Mercedes also, Ferrari, whatever change they make, Ferrari is confusing already. Ferrari itself is enough confusing. So I don't understand the changes Ferrari needs to make more confusion for themselves. But I think it's more interesting to see that it's going to get closer. Yesterday, one of the things I noticed on the Ferrari in the first and second practices, the rear of the Ferrari is still sliding up and down. That rear is not stable, and that has been since Bahrain this year, the first outing of the cars on track. The rear of the Ferraris have not been stable, and they've not been able to correct that. When the drivers don't have confidence in the rear of the car, I think it makes them more nervous because the rear of the car is nervous by itself. You can't control it. So I think these are the things Ferrari needs to take into learning into next year so they don't make the same car. And they have to go into next year to make sure they make a car that does not eat the plank. Oh, Ferrari. So the track should get a little bit drier, but we expect it to be totally dry for the qualifying if there is no rain. Now, one of the challenges the drivers will be having will be congestion. Some teams don't really communicate with their drivers. So that with Lewis Hamilton almost running into three cars. We had the Red Bull, the Racing Bull, and the Williams there. The McLaren was able to duck and he almost ran into Liam Lawson, and there was nothing to look into that. That was what the steward says. But I think this will be more controversial if he had run into him because it's going to look crazy. And going into qualifying, we are going to have a lot of that. A lot of drivers trying to get better times out, blocking others, and it's all a mess. But I hope there won't be rain for qualifying. The F1 Academy will be on track. That's the Formula 1 for women for their first part of the race to end their season. Dorian Pine and Wilg will be competing for the medals, and that should clear up the track. Finally, if there's no more rain, can make the track more rubber-thin. If they have a race, it should be more competitive. A lot of dryness will come into the track, and let's see how it goes. But certainly, it's going to be a very interesting qualifying and a very interesting race tomorrow. Catch you guys in qualifying. Yeah, bye. What the qualifying it was, a very interesting qualifying, all in the rain. The F1 Academy ended in rain. The qualifying started in rain. The drivers started on wet tires, some went on inters, but inters didn't work. And so Alex Albon, Kimi Antonelli, Gabriel Bortoleto, Yuki Tsunoda, and Lewis Hamilton out in Q1. Lewis Hamilton coming out 20, and we can still see the gaps, the lapses, and the mistakes in Ferrari. And Lewis Hamilton has his own mistakes. I think while he was driving, he picked up a boulder on the way. That might have slowed the car down. Also, while he came in on the last, about 1,000 tenths, he was asking if he was safe. I think the engineers should have told him he should still push because he still have an opportunity for one lap to go. And at first, they didn't answer. It took them time to answer. Then later, they now told him it's not safe. As in, the communication gap is just too much. These are things the chairman of Ferrari should be saying about communication gaps in that team rather than every other team is saying. That team needs a reset. Charles Leclerc had his own issue also. The engine just went off on him. He had to start it back to get it working. A big shunt for, I think, Alex Albon in the Williams that caused a yellow flag, but was able to drive it right into the pit lane. And all of yellow flags, which I expected red flag, but yeah, yellow flags. It means all the drivers did a very, very good job. That is very impressive from all the drivers. And in Q2, we had Nico Hülkenberg, Stroll, Ocon, Behrman out. And for Stroll, I think it was a mistake for him or the team. He went on the intermediate tires. He had to warm the intermediate tires up, warm it very well before he could get it on. And I think he was unable to get the tire working, and that ended his opportunity, and that was a bad one for him, but he did a good job. Great qualifying for Gasly, entering Q3 for the third time in a row in Las Vegas. What a qualifying it was for him. And Lando Norris took the pole position. Great qualifying for him. He was just always there, and this I think means a lot to him because he needs to be on pole. He needs to have a good start tomorrow so as to be ahead of Max Verstappen, and Max Verstappen coming in second. Carlos Sainz, great qualifying. He's had top threes in Las Vegas in all the qualifyings. The first qualifying he came in second. He had 10 grid place penalty. Last year I think he was third, and this qualifying he came in third in a Williams. That is a great qualifying for him, and I think he might be taking penalties for the infringement he had on Stroll. And Russell, great qualifying, but we thought he would be on pole. Russell came in fourth, Piastri fifth, Lawson sixth, Alonso seventh, Aja eighth, Charles Leclerc ninth, and Pierre Gasly 10th. Great qualifying, and we expect a very good race tomorrow, a very interesting race tomorrow. We expect it to be dry, but it's going to be a very interesting race, starting very early in the morning around 4 a.m. You don't want to miss it. So catch you guys for the main race tomorrow and for the analysis. I love you guys. Bye. Cheers.